This is Rugby Merlin and welcome back to the channel. So we're in a follow week of the Six Nations and of course all the Lions videos are coming out. But I thought I'd do something a little bit different, and this was inspired by the comments on my channel. When I put out my last Lions selection, there were a lot of Irish players, understandably I think, in the team. But a few commenters said that it's not really the Lions unless all teams are represented. So rather than doing the normal Lions selection video, which I think at this point is a little bit boring, I decided to kind of go with that and come up with my quota Lions. So this would be the Lions selection if every team had to be represented as equally as possible. Now this would create more problems, I think, than it would solve in terms of unfairness. Players who have played well deserve to get on the Lions team regardless of what nation they're from. And I think over the history of the Lions, there's definitely been favouritism, and you've seen it with Skerrett recently for Wales. He picked players that he liked working with and that he knew could do the job. Over the history of the Lions, as I say, Carwyn James back in the 70s picked a lot of Welsh boys, and then coming up to the modern day, you had Clive Woodward picked a bunch of English players, even though Wales won the Grand Slam in that season, which was very controversial for people in Wales. Then you had Gatland, and he picked a lot of Welsh players too. So I expect Farrell to do the same, and I don't hold anything against him, but that's just the way the Lions tends to go, and it's cyclical, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But let's get into a Lions team that actually truly represents in numbers or mathematically all of the home nations and Ireland. First of all, let's set the boundaries for this selection process. So no team can have more than 4 players in the Lions starting test 15, and so it would be 4, 4, 4, and then 3. If my math is right, I'll get 4 times 3 is 12 plus 3, and that would be the unlucky nation, I guess. And you have to pick 4 players from each nation, and one nation only gets 3 in. But that would be truly representative, I think, of the sides playing this year in the Six Nations. So on to the selections. Now I opted to go with Ireland because they have been far and away the strongest team this Six Nations, apart from, from France, obviously, who can't be selected. But I chose to pick the spine of the Irish team, and I've gone with Sheehan at hooker, Byrne at 5. Then I went to Jamison Gibson Park at number 9, and then Aki after his phenomenal performance against Wales, even though he missed a couple of the first couple of games. Those have been my 4 from Ireland. So once again, Sheehan, Byrne, Jamison Gibson Park, and Aki. I think now don't begrudge me leaving out Doris. If Doris is fit, I think he might knock one of those players out. But and if he's Lions captain, which I think he will be, you're gonna have to reconsider. But at the moment, in the last game, he wasn't fit, so that's what I'm kind of going off as well. Is players who were fit in the last week of the Six Nations. Then we have Scotland. Now, Scotland definitely should have won against England last week, but they're having a pretty, I would say, bad season. They really need a win against Wales, and Wales really need a win against them next week. But let's go and see what players we would choose from the Scottish squad, Scottish starting 15 from last week. I would definitely go, perhaps controversially because Doris is not in there, but Dempsey. Dempsey in at 8. And the rest of the Scottish players I've picked have been the backs. And outside centre, Hugh Jones. I think like that's quite an easy one because he's in with a real shout anyway. Van der Merwe and Kinghorn. So in the back line, they definitely have some firepower, Scotland, which they proved against England, you know. And yeah, so those would be my selections from Scotland's team. Dempsey, Jones, Van der Merwe and Kinghorn. Not bad so far. And Wales were completely in the doldrums, and I had to kind of squeeze Jack Morgan in my last Lions selection. But you know, with this quota system, we're able to get a few more players in. And who I've gone for, I'll leave the last one till last. And I've gone with Will Rowlands at second row with Tadhg Beirne. I think Will Rowlands is a quality player. He's got good size, and he could definitely do a job in the Lions Test team. He's a very good professional. He plays over in France as well, so he's got experience, you know, living with quality type 5 week in, week out. So Will Rowlands is my first one. Jack Morgan at 6 I put. And yeah, you know, he's in there again. He's by far and away Wales' best player, I think. And him with his last outing at 6, he proved he can do a job there. So that's the first two. Anscombe, I've gone. Pendergast is unlucky not to get in here. I think he's probably the best. But remember, we're going on the quota system. So Anscombe had a fantastic game. And I think taking him off in the last gasps of the last test against Ireland was a mistake. But Anscombe is in there at 10. And then, yeah, so Anscombe, Morgan, Will Rowlands, and the last one is Will Griff-John at Loosehead. Now, he had a fantastic game. He came out of nowhere. I think he plays for Sale, but he had a fantastic game. So he's my fourth selection for Wales. And then it's finally on to England. And England get the kind of bogey price. They only get 3 players in this team. And that is Genge at tight head. I think Genge has matured a lot as a player. Scrum is good, and he does a decent amount of work around the park as well. So Genge is in there for England. Of course, you could have had Ferguson, who I picked in the original side. But, you know, the quota system is in effect. So Genge for England. Earl at 7. I think Earl he offers something different at 7. He's such a good ball carrier. But he's also able to like make the tackles and compete at the breakdown. So that's I think one of England's best players so far. So Genge, Earl, and then last of all Freeman on the wing. I think Freeman is you know, developing as a player, but he could definitely make a Lions Test side. So England, unfortunately for them, only get 3 in the side. But I'll go through the entire selection now. So the team is, starting from tight head, is Genge, Sheehan and Will Griff-John in the front row. Will Rowlands and Tadhg Beirne in the second row. Morgan, Dempsey and Earl in the back row. Jameson, Gibson Park, Anscombe, 9 and 10. Aki and Hugh Jones in the centre. Van der Merwe, Kinghorn and Tommy Freeman in the back 3. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that looks like a decent team. So, you know, I don't think this is ever going to happen, and I don't really wish that it would happen. But if you were to employ the quota system just to make sure every nation got represented, then, you know, I got to be honest, that's not a bad looking side, and I think they do well. But that just shows you the competition that is for places at this moment in time. Yeah, so I thought I'd offer something different rather than like the normal, this is my Lions Test 15. So the quota system. Tell me what you think. Again, this video was inspired by the comments on my channel. So please feel free to make some more, and I'll see you for the next one. All right, cheers. Bye-bye.